Perfect. Welcome back to the Barbecue and Bibles podcast with Jasmine. And today I have a special guest. I have with me a minister from the Potter's House. I have Minister Parrish Owens with me today, and he is a member and minister at the Potter's House Dallas. And so we go way back. And so I'm sure
Yes.
we'll have some cool stories to tell. But welcome, Minister Parrish, to the pod.
Thank you for inviting me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So before we get started about the Potter's House, tell me, we're in Texas. So what's your favorite barbecue spot to go to in Texas
Well,
or in general?
to be honest with you, I have some excellent barbecue masters in my family, so
Okay.
we don't virtue out. But I'm a pretty good pizza myself. My sister's excellent. My brother's excellent. So most time we eat barbecue is one of our family members. Then on my
Right.
mother's side, we have some great barbecue as well. So, but if I go, Terry Black's is one place that I go. Hutchins,
Uh-huh.
Heart Eight. Um, those are probably the top three that I visit when I visit. Only thing about those, they're good, but they just don't seem to put their foot in it. In our family, the barbecue can be
Right.
falling off the bone good, but if that season is not right, you
It
know,
doesn't matter.
it
Hmm.
doesn't matter. You got to put your foot in it. In those establishments, they're tender, they're good, but they just don't seem to put their foot in it, or sometimes it's a little blander than I would like.
Right. And that's how I am because like my family, we barbecue and all the things. And I've been to some barbecue places that are like ranked pretty high in Texas. And
Right.
I've had better at the funeral.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes,
like
yes,
it's
yes.
somebody with a pit in their backyard that's doing it way better.
Right,
Like
right,
I
right.
like Terry Black's. Heart Eights is good. Um, I went to the original Hutchins, the
Okay.
one that's I think in Trophy Club.
Well, okay, okay, okay. I didn't know
So
where they originated. I go to the one over in McKinney.
yeah, that see, I haven't made it to McKinney.
Okay.
Now,
It's
if you're
packed all the time, though. I mean, it's
right,
packed.
well, a couple last year, I went to Snow's Barbecue down in Lexington, and they're only open one day a week,
Wow.
and people start lining up at like 1 in the morning for the
Where's Lexington? Is that Austin? Is that
It's
what part of
like
town?
it's in the hill country. It's going
Okay.
towards Austin. So it's not off of what's the highway to get to Austin? It's 35?
35,
It's
35.
on one of like the back roads.
Okay, okay, okay,
But it's
okay.
like in Lexington, little small town. I mean, the barbecue's good, but yeah, it's one of those things you do once in a lifetime. You go, wait, I wouldn't do it again.
Right, right. I
I got
understand.
there at 7. I don't think I finished until like 1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a long line. But
Yeah.
so now Zavala's in Grand Prairie. If you want something with some flavor,
Uh-huh.
Zavala's has really good flavor.
What's the name of it?
Zavala's. It's
Savalas. Okay,
on
yeah.
Main. It's like Main Street in Grand Prairie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's
Yeah.
I
Well,
think they're open
I'm
at
a foodie, so I may be small, but I'm a foodie, so
yeah. No,
I,
it's like I had to find balance, like eat and then like go work out afterwards, because yeah, I can't do that. I still have. But yeah, but yeah, that's always the challenge, just like finding a good place
yes.
and a place that doesn't break your pockets because I don't remember barbecue being as expensive as it is now. I don't know if
I'll,
it's just
I'll
me,
just tell
but
this guy I went to Hutchins twice this week,
mhm.
and when I looked at the menu, I think for a plate they want $23, and then if you get briskets, it's $33. That's just
Yes,
for a plate. I'm like, and then a sandwich is 18, 17, $18 just for a sandwich. No
yeah.
chips, nothing, just a sandwich alone is $18. Like,
You could
dang,
easily spend like $50 for one
yeah.
person.
Like, God.
But yeah, it's that's the times we're in, right? I guess
Yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah,
is expensive.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's get started. So,
Okay.
I mean, how did you make it to the Potter's house? When did you start going to the Potter's house?
I think, man, I think it was Bishop may have been there 3 months or maybe 6 months
Okay.
before we joined. I was my I say my MOC at this time. My
Yeah.
sister-in-law, um, they lived in Beaumont. We lived here, and so she would call her sister Gail, and she'd
Hmm.
say, Bishop T.D. Jakes is moving to Dallas. T.D. Jakes is moving to Dallas. I'm like, where's T.D. Jakes?
Right.
So then all of a sudden, maybe a week or two later, Gail would turn the TV on. I hear this man preaching, and I would just be drawn to the TV. Like,
Hmm.
who is that? He said, that's that Bishop. Tammy was talking about Bishop T.D. Jakes. He's moving to Dallas. Then I go out there another next week. He'd be on again. I'd be drawn. I know several men said they had this story that they'd be drawn to the TV. I'd just be drawn to the TV.
Right.
So then So then maybe 2 weeks later, they came up, said, we're going to church. And at this time, we were going to another church, a Baptist church, because I grew up Baptist. We were going to another church. And I got offended because they were coming up and said, y'all going to go come up here and not go to my church and go to another church? No, we're going. By this time, Bishop had moved up here. We're
Right.
going to the Potter's house. We're going to Bishop. So I got offended because they went, didn't go to my
Yeah.
church with me. So then maybe a month later, we're coming back. So I said, yeah, I'm going with them this time.
Yeah, you gotta see what's going on.
And the rest is history. After that, the rest is history, man. That
Listen, I
that
love Miss
anointing was
Tammy.
flowing. If that anointing was flowing, I mean, I went there one time and I was hooked from then on. I never went back to my old church or anything. But now I realize I was just spiritually starving,
Right.
And when Bishop came, that's just what I needed. I was because I was at my other church. I was doing something, but I now I know I was just spiritually starving. I wasn't getting fed spiritually.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of how that led me to the process. My Tammy saying, Bishop T.D. Jakes is moving to
Yeah.
Dallas, and once I went, I never
She
turned
sounds like
back.
mom, because that's what mom said. I remember her saying, Bishop T.D. Jakes is moving to Dallas. And she was just so excited. I was like, okay. I mean, I was a teenager. I'm like,
Right, right, right,
whatever, okay. You have to go because
right. Yeah, yeah.
but it's like you keep going and it's like, oh, I need to be here. Even as
Yes,
a
yes,
child, I
yes,
was like,
yes,
something's different. And I
yes,
know even
yes.
when like I've lived out of town, I still can't find like a church that's equipped
Well,
that are similar. It's hard. It's so
that's
hard.
what's funny. I've been in Houston the last almost 4 years. And my mother, she's still old Baptist. You found your church yet? You found your church
Yeah.
yet? Like, Mom, sorry, but I just had to end up looking online because I visited a few churches, but it just wasn't cutting it.
Yeah.
And I
And
ended up just turning back on the service, watching online. So I just became an online member out of town because I couldn't find anywhere that could feed me like Bishop could feed me.
right. And it's like even everything is done so well. Like it's
Yes.
excellent. And
Yeah.
it's like going certain places. I'm like, oh, I don't even like their parking lot ministry. I can't even it's like they don't even have people to help you park. Like it's
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, wow, Bishop, they really raised the bar and set the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That's what really, because before Bishop came, I just, like I say, I was spiritually starved, but no one had really set a standard here.
mhm.
Pastors, they were pastors, but they still just didn't have that spirit of excellence like Bishop had. He just set a standard so high. And that was
Mhm.
another thing that just drew me to and also appealed to because, his standard and his integrity, I had never seen it before,
Right.
you know, and because I was struggling, God, I'm like, okay, I gave my life to the Lord, but how do I, stop
Like,
from, I guess, backsliding, I guess,
right, exactly. How to apply it.
Yeah,
It's so easy to
yeah.
do when there's no
So, yeah,
accountability
when
sometimes. And it's like,
yeah, exactly.
it's
So,
like Bishop will preach a sermon and it'll be like, you gotta stop.
yes.
Yeah.
So he,
So
he changed my life. He changed my life. I mean, it really changed my life because it showed me that you can still be a man of God and still have integrity, still have power. It just changed my life. It changed my life.
right. Now did you ever attend Manpower?
I attended Manpower. Um, that was one thing I was going to say when I was Manpower. That was the one when I was in Dallas. And
Okay.
this guy stood up and he said that it was an older gentleman, and he said that he was young in his teens or early 20s when Martin Luther King was here, but he
Mhm.
didn't sense the times because I guess he was so young. And then the
Right.
Martin Luther King now he wished he would have sensed the times better, that he was living in. And I just kind of equate that with Bishop to be born during this time with such a phenomenal man, and to observe it and to be able to appreciate it, that
Right.
that is just awesome. Because a lot of times people when they pass away, then they give them their kudos. But this man has been so profound, and just to be born during that time is just awesome to me.
Right. That's what I was telling. I was thinking. I was like, my parents they had, Billy Graham. They had
Right,
Billy
right,
Graham and Jimmy Swagger and all those guys.
right,
Like
right.
we had Bishop Jakes, and I
Yes,
was able to experience. Like I didn't get to experience Catherine Kuhlman.
right.
But I was able to sit in that at the Potter's house Sunday and Wednesday and hear
Yes,
like those sermons and just experience it, everything. I was
yeah,
gonna say like I think one of my regrets is that I didn't go to ministry school when I was younger at the Potter's house. I
yeah,
went to Jake's Divinity, but I'm like, man, I should have went to
yeah.
ministry school.
Well,
I hear all
I
the stories about like how great ministry school was back then.
I was in the very first class of
Oh,
FICE.
you were? I didn't
I
know
was
you were in
in,
the first class.
the very first class, and I think we went about 2.5 years.
Wow. So
Yeah, it was.
how was it? Like how intense was ministry school?
Oh, because back then, uh, Pastor Twiggs was over it then, and her and Elder Jackson, they were over there. And they were no nonsense. They were
Oh,
no nonsense, but it was phenomenal. But it was old school,
okay.
straight up. They weren't
Yeah.
playing.
I've always heard stories like people say, "Oh, it's really tough. It was really hard," and I'm like, "Well, how hard could it be?" But people are like, "No, it was like an intense
Yeah, I
process."
say I know it went over 2 years. I know.
Yes,
You
I
know,
think now it's just 2 years, if I'm not
okay,
mistaken.
I think it was like 2.5 years or something. Like, man, I forgot which day it was, but yeah, it was pretty intense. They weren't taking any prisoners, boy.
So, what's your like? You have like two or three favorite memories of being at the Potter's house.
Man, I have so many.
You can tell them all if you want. We have time.
Okay. Well, just like I said, when Bishop first got it, just seeing the anointing attract the masses.
Hmm.
It was like it was a traffic jam every Wednesday and every Sunday was a
Yeah,
traffic jam. And if you didn't get there early, you know, you would
yeah,
be in line. And just to see all those people just on fire for God, I mean, I've never seen anything like it,
yeah. 'Cause that's what I was telling someone. I'm like, you couldn't show up to church late because
no,
like literally every road leading to Keast was jam packed.
jam packed,
Yeah.
jam packed. And I mean, I'm talking about for decades. I ain't talking about a few months.
Yeah,
I'm
it
talking
was for
about
a
for
long
years.
time. Uh-huh. I was watching something. I see there's a church and they always show the line or whatever they have.
Yeah.
I think it's out of state, but I'm like, we did that for about 10 years straight, maybe longer at the Potter's.
Yes, yes.
It was like insane for every service.
Every service, then like I said, they had the firehouse, like I say, manpower, woman that I lose. I mean, just to see all that it just evolve, and go through that, it's
Right.
hard to articulate,
Exactly. Because
you know.
you volunteered in the firehouse. That's where we met when we did
Right?
a missions trip to Mexico.
Yes, yes, and that's one of the things. Personally, for me, that's one of the things that touches my heart the most is because when they said they, first they had in-home Bible fellowship. And so
Hmm.
I said, well, I talked to Pastor State, I want to be a part of In-Home Bible Fellowship, but I want to do it for the young people, you
Right.
know. And they didn't have such an animal. So he said, I guess he got proof from Bishop. Say, well, okay. So that's how Gail and I opened our home up to the young people.
Yeah.
And I
And
know we did that at least 10 or 12 years, I know.
yeah, because
You know,
I think I may have went started going after to you guys' house after the missions trip, and I
okay.
feel like I went
Well,
there for about 2 years when y'all had the for the teenagers at your house.
right, right.
So and that was cool. It was it would be about I feel like it would be a lot of kids at your house and
oh, that was, I mean, it got up to probably starting out, we had like two people. It was the Dardens, 2 or 3 people, and then it swelled to probably 30 or 40 kids.
yeah,
On a consistent every other Friday or whatever time we did it. And now to see, a lot of them are elders, pastors,
Mhm.
attorneys. It's just
Yeah.
phenomenal. Now I see these kids like, wow, and some of them, they're
Right.
40 some years old, and they're like, oh man, golly. It's just unbelievable, you know. I think Marcus, you know Marcus Anderson?
I don't think so. The name sounds familiar. I probably have to see his face.
Now, are you is Stephen Clark right now? They're older than you, right?
Right. I remember the Cartwrights.
Okay, yeah. I think Marcus and they're all Madison. I think Marcus had like 5 or 6 kids. It's like, man,
Right.
it's crazy.
Yeah, because I'm like, I think I may have been 18, 19, and I just turned 40 this year. When I
Oh boy,
but yeah,
golly.
and I don't
Yeah.
think your youngest daughter wasn't even born yet.
No, no,
Started going,
no,
yeah.
no, no.
So,
Mm-mm. Right, right. Yeah, so but I just really touches my heart, man. I see you people as yourself and others, attorneys, pastors, elders.
right.
It's just awesome to see, you know.
And I was telling how much, even in the firehouse with the teenagers, we had great leaders in there in the
Yes,
firehouse.
yes, yes.
Like real life deliverance going on with the youth. Like we had like the anointing would hit the place in the youth building, just like it
Yes,
would.
yes, I mean, yes, Pastor
You
Chris
know,
was phenomenal. Pastor Chris was
yeah.
phenomenal.
I was
Let
like,
me
you know,
let me
you
tell you
think
this funny story. Let me tell you this funny. I don't know if this girl she was old and Tanya. She was like one of the first ones to start coming to our house. So
okay.
the format was to watch the video, Bishop, for 20 minutes or whatever. Then we had the food and we turned on the Christian rap and Christian music. So she came that first night, but I had to pick her up because some of them didn't have transportation. So I went and picked her up, and her name was Tanya. So Tanya came to us. We did the format. She ate food. We had fun, and so when I was taking her home, she lived in an apartment complex. So when we got close to the apartment complex, all these teenagers were standing outside.
Right.
She just let the window down and said, "Y'all need to get saved. Y'all need to get saved. Christians can have fun. You can be saved and still have fun." And she just started witnessing, trying to get out the car. She had such a good time. She's like, "Christians can have fun. We rap, do this and that." And I mean, she just jumped out the car and just started witnessing to just a group of teenagers. Y'all just
Wow.
yelling, "Y'all need to get saved."
That's like the most Potter's house thing ever. Cause yeah, I can see our members doing it. Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah.
It was
It
pretty
was,
awesome.
yeah, it was a time like, yeah, what you guys did in the firehouse was amazing. And even I was speaking with my sister, I was like, when you look at that, what I call like the Potter's house DNA of like
Yeah.
how many people came through the main church and the youth church and where they are now and just how they've grown just in the body of
Yes. Yeah.
it's like it's amazing.
It really is.
It's
It
like you hear
really is.
stories of like all the people who left Azusa and went out to start churches,
Right.
Bible colleges.
Right.
Someone can really do that same thing with the Potter's house and
Yes.
just track it from where they are now.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's just so many fun memories. It's just from paintball to
Yeah.
it's just it was a really good time. It was really a good time,
Right.
and to be on fire for God like that. It was just so many people on fire for God.
Yeah, I don't. That's what I was saying. I don't know if people realize like how even I don't know if you ever ushered at the Potter's house, but how people when the doors would open, how people would sprint down to the front just to get a seat. Like
Yes.
it
Yes.
was like you
Yes.
had to be in the place to hear
Yes.
Bishop, you know. So what are like your favorite sermons by Bishop?
Woo wee, boy, boy, boy. Uh, Let me see if I can. I can't just remember the specific topics. It's been so many over almost what's this
Yeah.
25, 26, 27 years, whatever.
Yes. And it's like and he wasn't preaching the same I've never heard him preach
No,
the same sermon twice.
no, no. I mean, he slay me every time I go. Bishop,
Hmm.
his intellect, his intelligence, it's just like every time was different. Just
Right.
building and building and building and build his wisdom, his knowledge, his understanding. Um, even for some reason, I keep thinking about the hand made another brick.
Yeah.
It's just it's
Yeah. Like
I can't. It's just so many sermons I can't remember because all of them like my favorite.
right.
Next one he'll be just as. profound dynamic on the next next
I
role.
remember like the hand me another brick campaign, and he
Yeah.
hand me another brick. It was
Yeah. Oh man. Then I don't know if you were you at the one when was in the old building they had that door.
yeah,
Uh
and people
yeah.
just started walking through the
Yeah,
door.
the door, yeah. See that was really powerful right there too. You
Uh-huh.
know. So
Yeah,
I mean it's just so many. I mean just to see what God did through that man, is just phenomenal. And to be able to actually experience that,
right.
and like I said, people here that's right here that never even come to see such a phenomenon,
Exactly.
and they're
I'm
right
like
here.
in Dallas. I'm like, and you didn't
Yeah,
go and you didn't experience it, like you missed out.
yes, you did really miss that. And you can tell when you start going up, like say, go to other places, like, oh boy, the level of ministry
Mhm.
just isn't the same.
Right. And I was like, sometimes you go places, even out of town, and just randomly, and people are like, "What church do you go to?" And I'm like, "Oh, I go to the Potter's House, Bishop Jakes." And they're like, "Oh my God, you go there? I wish I could go to the Potter's
Uh,
House. I wish I could be a member." But it's like Bishop just, he's just that guy, and he just,
and then, one of the other things that's distinguishes him is when you said that being able to apply it. Bishop actually taught us and taught me how to apply it. How do you live in victory? Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, we're saved, you go in heaven, but how do you win down here? How do you live
Yeah,
in victory here and apply those things? And nobody else that I grew up under, they were just preaching salvation, but nothing about walking in victory and how to apply
in your
what
regular
you've learned.
life.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that
Yeah,
really separates him. I think that he teach you how to actually live a victorious life. Which is not easy.
exactly. And even just something, and it may not seem like super important, but just how he was able to just keep his word with things.
Yes, yeah,
And even with, paying off the buildings we had for both of the
yeah,
churches and
yeah,
in record time. And it
yeah.
wasn't like, oh, he ran off with the money. No, he really did. We really did burn the
Right,
to both of those buildings. And like we really did, get the bridge built over so people wouldn't
right.
walk across the street. And those cows really did move.
Yeah, right.
you know?
Yes, it's
And
just phenomenal. It is phenomenal. I mean, just to see somebody do what they say they're going to do. Like I say, the standard and integrity, the excellence. You know, the bar was just set so high, which this area and this area really needed.
I was telling my sister, I'm like, Bishop did more for the city of Dallas than Dirk.
Yeah,
People love Dirk and all of them. No, Bishop really helped the city.
yes,
People were
yes,
moving to Dallas to come to the Potter's House, and just
yes,
economically, the conferences and everything.
yes.
Um, so yeah, I think Bishop needs a parade
Yes, he does.
before he leaves.
Yes, like I say, man, a leader, a pastor, we wear so many hats well.
Right,
And it's just amazing. Like I say, he changed my life. I'm telling you, because I was struggling with my walk because I like, okay, well, I'm saved now. What I do, but all the examples I have, they're living subpar, and they're preaching one thing, but their life is not lining up in every area. And then also when Bishop come, he just lifted my spirit up to a standard that you know helped me overcome a lot of hurdles that I think I would have had to face.
right. And I think even just how he ministered to the men, because most churches it's a lot of women. But
Yes.
it's like when you went to the Potter's house, it was men. There we have men serving in like
Yeah.
all capacities, and I think
All capacities.
and it's good to see to be able to walk in a church and like, okay, there's men here that are actually serving and really working for God. Like,
Yes.
and like I think he really did focus on, the men's ministry and building you guys up.
Yes, he did. I mean, it's just God. That's the only thing I can say. It has to be God. For him to be led like that and just the effect that he had on people. It's God. And what I love about Bishop also, he always told us, y'all don't worship me. Worship God. Fall in
Yep.
love with God in that relationship with God. And I took that to heart. So
Right.
Bishop's a great man, but my focus is on God.
Right. Yeah, he never did make an idol out of himself. He always
Right.
pointed back to God. Yeah, I
It's
was like,
incredible.
yeah, he's just a great dude. Like even if you see him out and about, like he's always just very personable and just he's just a pastor.
Yeah, it's just a pastor. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
but yeah, but I was just like so hurt. I know and he's always said that he didn't, he never wanted to die in the pulpit, and he always kind of talked about retiring, but I just wasn't ready for it, and so I was like,
Yeah, me
but
and
I,
a friend of
but I
mine,
get it.
remember a friend of mine, she keeps saying that, well, he needs on Wednesday, just maybe just do some series on Wednesdays, you
Yeah,
know.
so I'm like, maybe we can get at least one revival, one last revival, like a
Yeah,
little 3-day revival, one
right.
time, So maybe he'll watch and listen. Uh,
Yeah.
so if you could tell Bishop anything in the world, what would you tell him?
Oh man, if I could tell him anything, where I probably would tell him that, like I've been saying, that he changed my life, and just example he said, and to see the ironclad faith and commitment, that this guy, for since he's been here, since I've been watching him, the level of commitment to be at church that much all the time.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just mind-boggling, the level of commitment
Right,
and dedication and work, and the weight that's on his shoulder, and he handles it so well. And I would just let him know that, I had a lot of black men's stories. My father wasn't in my life, and this or that, but I had a great father, and my dad still lives this day, and he's still a great man.
right,
But by Bishop showing me how to be intimate and love God, even though my earthly father was good, but he can't compare to my heavenly father.
right,
And Bishop brought all that out, and brought all that out in meaning to have a relationship with God. So I had a great earthly father, but can't compare to my heavenly father. So just let him know that, he's a spiritual father to me, and you still have men out here that's got his back, and believes in him wholeheartedly, despite what society says or anybody else says. That, you still got some ride or die men that has your back, and I'm one of them.
right. Awesome. Yeah, that was great. I was thinking about just the commitment, because I was like, I think back when we first started, we may have had 3 services, maybe
Right.
4 on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Then there was a Wednesday service, a Saturday service for a short time, and then he was preaching in other places in
Right.
between that. Like just to be able to do that at any age is like insane.
Insane. It's
And he's like
insane.
calmly preaching, he's on 10 every single sermon. Like
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's like LeBron,
Right.
every
Yeah.
night you just showing
Yeah.
up and, you know, doing that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like I said, Sundays, Wednesdays, and doing all that other stuff. And I mean, but you think, man, after a while, you take a break, a month or two or something, man. This man, a week
Yeah,
here or two there, but I mean, he's there, like, golly,
yeah.
man. And
Non
he didn't feel like it all the time.
now. Yeah. Because I'm like, I don't feel like going on my job, but I'm gonna be there 5 days a week.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
man,
Oh, but it's just the commitment and it's the
yeah,
sacrifice that him and First Lady made
ooh, man.
just over the years.
I know over the years. Yeah, it's just awesome. It's just awesome to see, and to be a part of it. And
Right.
to say you lived through that. So like I said, I don't care. For me, he's that guy.
Yeah. It's like no matter what. That's
No
my
matter what, no matter what, no
my
matter what,
bishop.
no matter what. Because when you look at the Bible, it's written with guys who have made mistakes and women who've made mistakes, and God still used them.
Right, exactly. hmm But yeah, I'm like, no matter what, that's my bishop. So great. Well, thank you everyone for joining on the podcast today. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment. Thank you, Minister Parrish, for joining the pod today. And so I appreciate you joining. Until next time, thank you.
Thanks for the invitation. God bless.